I'm wanting to ask you a question tonight. Uh, what is it in your childhood, or how have you been as a child? Like, how has that affected what you've moved into with your career? I've been very uneloquent about the way I've just said that, and I've just realised that. But really, what I'm trying to point out is that, um, what is it from your past or your childhood that has shaped who you are as an adult? What is it that has, like, that you remember? Oh, yeah, how did I end up doing this career? You know, like, how did I end up getting excited about this? Some people recognize very clearly why they do what they do when they're adults, and that they maybe did a more mini version of that when they were a child, or it might be something more subtle. And I think this is what I just wanted to find out, from you guys. Like, if you've got any of those stories, I'd love to hear them, because I find it really fascinating. How is it that people become who they are, and really what drives them in their career. And I wanted to share my turning point that happened when I was in P3, which is year 2 in England, but I grew up in Northern Ireland, so it was P3. And our teacher gave us this big lump of clay and just said, start making something from it. And I just remember being like transported into a whole other realm of like, what can I make? This is so exciting. And I don't think I really was that. I just can't really remember many other things like before that time in school. I remember getting excited about different things, mainly playing, with the cooker at the back of the room, and playtime that way. But this was like different. This was like I had a purpose with this piece of clay of coming up with something, and I made something useful. I actually made an ashtray for my dad, which I just think, why did I make an ashtray? But I wanted to make him something, and I remember painting it blue, and I remember it being like, it wasn't fired or anything, so it actually went quite crumbly after a while, but that wasn't the point of it. The point was that I did something that was like a process, like a creative process, where I had this lump that looked like nothing, and I made it into something, and that was like just the best feeling ever. Like, my twin sister was in the class as well, and she actually like sculpted a little snowman, and it was really cute, and she even put like a little red hat on it, and it just, she did a lovely job. And and everyone was saying, oh, that looks such an amazing snowman, but nobody was commenting about my ashtray. But I was hooked. It's what it did for me, like as a 7-year-old, and how I knew that I just wanted to do that type of problem solving again and again. I wanted to, like, my creative juices were like just sort of started flowing, really, and in any way that I could do any type of drawing, or just posters, anything at school, I was like all over it like a rash. I was totally into that, and that has never really stopped for me. And it's just that the creative process becomes a lot more involved, and it's in lots of different ways. And but that was like the sort of little kernel of how it actually started to take shape. And like, even today, I think about like the creative processes that I do, and it's very involved, and I actually like to come up with a whole creative language, a whole way of operating creatively that is where I really, really, I'm always refining the process of how I work. And I almost see it as like, even as recipes, you have to get the timing totally right, and it's always trial and error. It's constant trial and error, and I have endless patience for that, because it's because I really enjoy that creative process. I don't have endless patience with other things, but when it comes to like my own practice and that absolute, I just dog with a bone, it has to just keep going on. And I'm wondering as well, if people are listening, like, is that how you feel about the creative practice you're involved in? It doesn't even need to be anything to do with like textile printing. Obviously my area of expertise is textile printing now. Like I'm wearing today like a polyester top. I think it's from Primark. I know that in Northern Ireland we say Primark. Everywhere else it's called Primark. It's just a Primark top, and I've printed one of the designs that I did a few years ago. I just printed it straight onto the top. I didn't have to take it apart or anything, and I've done that with quite a lot of tops, and I just love sort of mixing, matching, and that's just another part of like always going for that creative process and that outcome. So yeah, so tell me about your creative processes. Tell me, what is it that has brought you, come right back to full circle to how it started. What is it in your childhood or, that happened that has brought you to the point of doing what you do today? And without wanting to sound cliche, like maybe doing what you love today, because that's obviously always what we all want, is to be able to work in our day with something that we really enjoy, or or certainly aim for that. So and other creative processes as well. I'd really love to hear your thoughts on that. So I've got a lot more to talk about in the coming days, more about like the outcome of my creative processes that I work with, and just giving you some demonstrations around that. So stay tuned with us, and have a great evening.